Base building in Soulmask begins with placing a bonfire, which works as a respawn point and a protection for buildings from decay. Decay is a mechanic which makes your buildings break down over time unless they're inside the bonfire's protection zone. You can check the bounds of the bonfire area by pressing E and Show Area. On top of preventing decay, anything within this green zone gets a sweet home buff. This means wild creatures won't attack you, and your health and stamina will recover faster. Also, any resources within the area are automatically shared and visible, so you won't need to manually pull them out of containers for crafting, unless you leave the area. All of this, including the respawn point, only works as long as the bonfire is lit. So if it gets rained on or you run out of fuel, you lose all of those perks, and your structures will begin to decay and break down. To keep the bonfire going, you'll want to build a roof above it, appoint a caretaker to add fuel, and have your tribesmen continuously harvest grass and chop wood. To do that, just click on the bonfire, choose tribesmen work, and assign tasks to them. For instance, I'm going to have this tribesman collect all the grass around the bonfire in the area we just talked about. However, this zone has very scarce vegetation, so there won't be much for them to collect. So what I'll do is open the map, click R on a spot a little farther out, and place a marker there. That'll let me assign my tribesmen to harvest grass from that spot instead. Of course, they'll need a site to do that, so I'll make sure they're equipped with one. They will also need a place to put all the materials, so I'll build a chest and set the storage type to plants. Now, that about covers the core mechanics of base management. But how do you decide where to place your bonfire? Basically, it's best to put it near a portal, since that's your primary way of traveling around the map. Having a water source nearby is also useful, but not essential, since you can build rainwater collectors fairly quickly, and crops and water throws will fill up with rainwater as long as they're not covered by a roof. There's wells too. Mines are handy to have nearby, copper is especially important, as well as tribe camps for recruiting new members. That said, all of this only makes your life easier, and if you want to, you're free to build wherever you want. Your base will have to be built on flat terrain though. Look here, how my foundations are clipping into the grass. I can't build anything further because this grass is now higher than my foundations, so always try to have your foundations a bit above ground, starting from the highest point ideally, and see to it that there's enough flat terrain for your farm plots as you can't raise soil. And while tree-based foundations sound exciting, they really are just regular foundations that you attach to a tree, not very useful. Now, when building, don't click too fast, because if you build over a piece, it will just replace it with the new piece, meaning you just lose one of them. Also, when building, you can rotate pieces to match texture. Click Z to change styles and find the piece that works best for you. If you ever deconstruct a piece with a changed style, you'll get it in the style that was built, but it will still act the same as the original piece. If you're struggling to place something and can't quite get the angle right, press F. This will cycle through every available structure joint in front of you, which is super helpful for figuring out placement. Just make sure you don't move when you hit F, because that will reset the search. So for example, if I want to place a floor up above me, but I'm having trouble positioning the mouse, I'll just look in the general direction and press F until I find the right spot. Now, what the heck is auto-absorption? It's snapping, plain and simple. It helps you snap a piece together with your existing structures, but when you're placing your first piece, you might want to disable it. When building, you might get an error saying there's no supporting buildings nearby. This is solved by adding foundations or pillars below, but the game is incredibly wonky when it comes to figuring out what is supported by what. For example, I was not able to build walls here because the game was telling me there were no supporting structures. So I plopped down one foundation here, and suddenly it allowed me to build both walls here at the top and everything on both sides of the entrance here. Now watch how everything collapses when I destroy this foundation. Yep, lost at least 10 pieces just because of that one foundation. When you deconstruct something, you'll get the piece back, but any pieces that were supported by it will just fade from existence, and the game doesn't warn you about that. For example, if you remove the floor under a bonfire, the bonfire will get deleted along with all the stuff that was on the floor, and you won't get any resources back. So be careful with what you're deconstructing. Now, when you build something, you might notice the durability starts out low but then goes up. This is not dependent on anything else but your bonfire. As long as your bonfire is active, the durability goes up. When it's extinguished, the durability goes down, and when it hits 0, your base falls apart and your pieces just disappear, along with everything on them. If you build out of better materials, for example from black stone, the durability will have a higher cap, so you'll have a bit longer before your efforts crumble. Regardless, if you're playing on your own server, you can set building decay to 0 in the settings and not worry about losing everything due to some minor mistake. And yet, this setting won't protect you from barbarian invasions that seek to put out your bonfire. This setting will. But if you want to keep the setting on, here's what you can expect. A lone barbarian invader that gets stuck because they're bedazzled by a ladder. No, I'm serious. In 70 hours that I've played the game, I haven't had any real invasion and a need for fortifications or traps. But I've seen people say they've had as many as 100 invaders at once. So I won't be of any help with those, but you can click J to see how close you are to an invasion. When this meter fills up, you're supposed to be getting one, and they're supposed to go straight for the bonfire, but as you can see, I can't confirm that. What I do know for sure though is that when you're playing on official servers, it's hard-coded that your tribesmen stop collecting logs and branches for your bonfire after a week, and your buildings start to decay, so you have to log in at least once a week to keep your tribe alive there. On non-official servers, there's a slider to change how long it takes for NPCs to stop working. It's irrelevant if you're playing solo. If you've been crafting pieces one by one, then withdrawing them manually from the crafting table and running to place them only to find that you don't like how they look, you've been doing it wrong. You should use planning mode, accessible through owning a hammer by clicking B. Now when you plan anything, you'll have your tribesmen craft the pieces and put them there, no manual input required. Neat, right? Well, there's more. You're likely having troubles reaching the far ends of your build, like roofs and such. If you're playing solo, don't forget to disable allow others to join in the settings. This will allow you to go into building mode. Just click escape and then this button, and now you can fly around to place buildings wherever you want. Then, pick your hammer, click B, and build whatever you want. Keep clicking B to choose other pieces. Still, if you build something and then want to move it, the game allows you to relocate structures on short distances, keeping every resource and setting inside intact. Relocating across big distances though is nigh impossible, so plan in advance. Also, not everything can be relocated, for example farm plots cannot. Your people don't need separate rooms or beds, in fact, I have found that 3 double beds is enough for 20 tribesmen. And if you don't want them to invade your bed, you can lock the door to your room. But what can you even put in those rooms? All the workbenches and crafting tables of course, plus some decorations and chests. When building the crafting tables, they'll show you how much space they need for expansion. Expansion pieces themselves are learned through the research tree. Once unlocked, just grab them and drag them into the slots in the benches, or use them from your inventory. A few tips on the topic of benches. You don't get your resources back and you can't stop production of something when it's already running, so think twice before clicking. If you want to craft something and don't know where to find it, just write it here and click either of these categories. Then click right mouse button and learn. This will show you what technology you need to learn. If it doesn't show anything, then there's nothing to learn and it has to be crafted on some special bench, like the offering table in the case of tokens. You can set your tables to auto-craft certain things when your supplies are running low. For example, you always need planks and food, so set those. But planks need logs, and logs need axes, and the axes tend to break. To have your tribesmen repair their own tools, build a repair bench and set auto repair tasks. In this example, I have set it to repair everything, so when tools break, my people bring them to this chest, which are then transferred to the repair bench, where they are then repaired and returned to this chest. For it to work, the tribesmen that use tools have to have a task set up to store all their tools in a tool chest at the lowest priority, which won't be executed as long as they have their tools and are able to do their errands. By the way, to increase or lower priority of the tasks, just hold the mouse button and drag them up or down. I have more tips for Soulmask in this video here. When that's done, assign another tribesman to repair bench, who will automatically take tools from the tool chest, repair them and return to the chest. You don't have to set up any tasks for that. Just don't forget to set durability at which you want to repair them. This number corresponds to current durability of a tool and when it's time to fix it, and this sets the minimum durability cap that tool has to be repaired. Each repair wears the tool down, so it loses a bit of this durability. Furthermore, you should build a dinner table and a cooking stove so your tribesmen can feed themselves. When assigning your men and women to benches, the relevant proficiency will be highlighted, but still, check out this cheat sheet of all the skills and matching tables. Don't forget to choose perks for each proficiency level of your tribesmen. Some buildings won't fit into your room, naturally, things like powered furnace and mill and such, they all need a windmill connection. Each windmill can power 2 buildings. Now, even though it sounds like they're self-operated, they're not. They still need people to work at them. They're just more advanced crafting tables that can do more advanced jobs. With the exception of spinning wheel and mill, they don't seem to be able to produce anything better than their unpowered equivalents. And what about farming and ranching? Well, to farm you need to find seeds first, or you can recover seeds from fruit and vegetables in a grinder. Then, build a granary and appoint a tribesman to it. Make sure to prepare pesticide and other herbicide to deal with locusts and set the plant to grow at each farm plot, and that's about it. For ranching, you might need a specialized building for each animal, and to find out how to domesticate an animal, click K and check out Hunting Gallery. Each of those requires special conditions. For example, the sex of a tortoise is determined by temperature, just like in real life. So, that's fun. Anyhow, when you've got your base set up and running, you can think about expansion. Now, I haven't found any reason to use logging yard and collection yard. The only advantage of using them seems to be the fact that you can set up exactly which resources you want to collect. Otherwise, just using the markers is fine. Or you could build more bonfires to expand your safe zone and building area. If your bonfire areas overlap in the place where your chests are, you can even share the resources without having your tribesmen carry them back and forth. One more tip for bonfire is that you should set acceptable fuel types so that your coal doesn't get used for keeping the bonfire lit. And that covers everything really. Hope this video has been helpful to you. If it was, please leave a comment and a like, and check out my other videos on Soulmask.